So we finally got enough renown to pick up the legendary rune weapons and armor. Some of the runes are pretty expensive though, and as I was taking counsel with my advisors at Borfang, which by the way, I don't know why it's raining here. Evidently there's some kind of roof leak. Somebody needs to get that fixed. And then over here, by the way, there is a dwarf pinata. It's Gotrek's birthday, so we're all gonna play Viva Pinata later. But yeah, as I was formulating a plan with my advisors to acquire the funds we need to get the rune weapons and armor, we got approached by what I can only describe as an upstanding Skaven merchant. There was nothing sketchy looking about the individual at all. The Skaven merchant had a deal for us. If we were to supply him with all the troops we'd recruited thus far, and in the future, he would supply us with as many rune weapons and armor as we needed. Of course, we denied his offer. We had no idea what he was going to do with these people and creatures, and our rune priests are way too valuable. He explained that we can keep our rune priests and any units that build into rune priests and deal. So money is not an issue for the Skaven merchant. He wants us to be really successful so he can in turn be successful at whatever he's going to do with these people that we give to him. For now, we're going to pick up 2 of these dwarf rune heavy armors. They don't seem super amazing, and they're arguably not even as good as the rusty dwarven lord armor we're using, at least not yet. We're also going to pick up 3 of these dwarven runic rifles. We can give those to companions. We can use one ourselves. And down here, there's some runic weapons, mainly the runic warhammer. I'm a pretty big fan of this because it can crush through blocks and it does a bunch of blunt damage. We're going to pick up 3 of these for companions, and we're going to take one for ourselves as well. And now we're going to start runing up this gear we just picked up, starting with the armor. So as you can see, some of this stuff is really expensive. Like the 4+ ward save is actually the most expensive thing. And when it comes to ward saves, the lower number is actually better. It gives a chance to ignore all damage. And I guess the lower ones just give a higher % chance. Originally, I was thinking I would want to give the +4 ward save and advanced ignore pain to my main character, but I already have ignore pain and I'm going to be using a gun. So this first armor we're going to give over to Gotrek, and we're going to give him the best stuff. The 4+ ward save, advanced ignore pain, and heals wounds at the start of each battle. We also gave him over the best runic warhammer we made. 2 of these runes were unique and we cannot apply them to our other warhammers. The 2 unique runes are the Master Rune of Ulrich the Mad, which it says it only gives +5 damage, but the base damage of a warhammer is 40 damage, so I think it gives it 10. The Ulrich the Mad rune allows the warhammer to also crush through ward saves or ignore pain, so pretty much nothing's going to stop this thing. The other unique rune we gave it was the Master Rune of Swiftness for +10 weapon swing speed. You can only get one of these, and we gave the other ones +5 weapon swing speed, and they were all able to get the Rune of Smiting as well for the 50% chance for double damage. And then we gave the one we're using +20% extra damage. Mainly though, I just wanted Gotrek to be the best because he does have 470 in pole arms, and he does have 10 power strikes, so he's going to be hitting like a beast. He also does have 15 iron flesh, by the way, and I think ignore pain does scale off of iron flesh, so he's going to be shrugging off a ton of damage. And not to mention he has 140 HP and 10 willpower, so he pretty much ignores magic damage. So have fun killing the guy basically. As for the armor we gave ourselves, we had to settle with a +6 ward save, which is not as good as a +4, and we gave it 15 more armor, and we do heal our wounds at the start of every battle. It doesn't heal all of our HP, but it heals quite a big chunk. And alright, we now have 0 troops at Borfang. We're gonna now head over to Grom Peak, which is actually being sieged, by the way, by a pretty massive army belonging to Sigmar. I would actually like to try to defend that. I feel like that might be a pretty cool way to go. Before we do try to defend Grom Peak though, this goblin is chasing us. And actually, before he engages us, I would like to get some troops over this village. No one wanted to join us though. They were like, you guys are absolutely nuts. And yeah, we can recruit troops that will eventually upgrade into rune priests, but that's it. And yeah, we were actually able to sneak into Grand Peak. For the sake of this battle that's going to be upcoming, we're going to hire all the troops we can in the tavern. There's 6 of these leopard company, and over here for a bit of a morale boost, there's 5 of these Amazon warriors. Thankfully, before we joined the battle, I did a bit of a limit test save, and I'm really glad I did because our units bugged in a really awkward position. It was the same position actually that the enemy bugged when we attacked Grand Peak, and this is just not somewhere that Uber Danspringer was going to meet his end. So he was able to get out of there. Unfortunately, the Amazon warriors and the leopard company, as well as the orcs that were in the garrison, those guys are all pretty much done for. And okay, I may have messed up here. I was doing a little testing and I cranked up campaign AI to good, and now pretty much every lord on the map has extremely elite troops, even ones that don't have that many troops. They have like 6 trolls in their army. So we had to do a little renegotiation with the Skaven merchant, and now we can rescue and hire any troops as long as they're dwarf. So from the very start of the game, the orcs are at war with the dwarves, and over time they end up taking a lot of dwarf prisoners and they store them back at their castles. So we went through the orc lands, and this is actually our second attempt at attacking Croc 8 Peaks. Some of our units got bugged earlier, and we actually didn't have enough manpower anyways to take it on the first attack. On our first attack we took out 71, and so there's about 140 troops here, and yeah, we were able to break through, and I started sniping these guys from behind and they didn't really seem to be able to react. They were pointing their shields at some of our units that were bugged, so I was able to just snipe them and take them out. And yeah, we rescued a ton of dwarves from this castle. And there were some really decent ones in this prisoner stack, so we improved our power level by quite a bit, you could say. We moved on to siege another orc castle that actually had even more prisoners this time. And since we did pick up some range units, we were able to sit back and snipe at them and take out all their archers. The main thing is we were able to snipe out all their trolls, and once we did that, we decided to charge as most of our range units were out of ammo. And looking back at the footage, I'm actually kind of surprised we were able to break through here. I was looking at the kill feed and Gotrek was actually doing a lot of work. I wanted to pay more attention as to like how Gotrek was doing in terms of these battles, but there was kind of just a lot going on, and like these battles aren't like dungeons where there's only 4 of us and like 10 of them. And when it's on such a massive scale, it's kind of hard to pay attention as to what units are doing what. Not to mention Gotrek does look exactly like our mercenary rune priests. We picked up even more range units and just completely blasted through this next orc castle, which did have another pretty fat group of dwarf prisoners. This was kind of a cool charge, I guess. The orcs weren't really holding a ladder that well, so we were able to get a lot of units in here, and we just started mopping the floor with these orcs. We didn't even actually end up losing that many units. Since they weren't really guarding the ladder that well though, we did have to charge because yeah, our range units couldn't really see them. So it was kind of a smart tactic, I guess, on their part to not be able to get sniped out by our units, but it also did mean that we were able to just pile in there. After taking out those castles and getting pretty much the best dwarves that we could get, our power level was at, I guess you could say, a critical mass where there wasn't really much we could do to improve it. So I felt like we could do some pretty good damage to this nearby orc town and possibly even take it over on one attack. As we were attacking these guys, I was noticing something quite odd. Our range units would not lock onto their range units. Like if you look at the kill feed, the only units that we're killing are melee units. Aside from me, I'm sniping out some of their range units, but our range units will not shoot at their range units. As you can imagine, this was quite the conundrum, so we hit up our boy, the Skaven merchant, and it just so happens he had a couple new goods in stock that were going to assist us in the conquest of these orcs. So as far as I know, in Warsword, every race does have the ability to do AoE magic damage. Except for the dwarves, they were not born with the ability to do magic. A few of them were born, however, with the ability to wield this dwarven grenade launcher. Combined with 5 explosive cannon rounds, this was really the equalizer that we needed to make up for the fact that a lot of our range units were kind of blind. And the reason why I believe a lot of them are blind is not only could they not see the enemy archers in the previous battle, after capturing the orc town, we rescued a dwarf master engineer, and you can see here he actually hits our own troops. We were unable to take the mighty fist on that attack. We went back home to heal. As we were coming back, we came across a battle between 8 orc lords and a dwarf caravan. We of course ran right on by that battle and headed back over to the mighty fist, but at this point I was thinking it was only a matter of time before those orc lords took out that caravan and they were going to head back to the mighty fist, which was still being guarded by 400 units, and our goal was to take it out on this next attack. It was on this next attack we found a bit of a glitch in the matrix, I guess you could say, with this gat gun, another one of the goblin merchant's special weapons that he gave to us. I'm not sure if this is intended, but with this weapon you are able to use explosive rounds. If you have explosive rounds as your primary ammunition, as we do here, the game thinks you already have 6 explosive rounds loaded into the gat gun, and so you're able to fire those 6 explosive rounds for free. Now if you do reload though, you end up having to reload more ammo than you have, and it's kind of hard to explain, but since we reloaded 6 shots and we only have 5 explosive rounds, the game essentially ends up thinking that you're out of explosive rounds, so the next shots are not going to be explosive shots anymore. And I actually found that out while we were sieging this time. Had we not reloaded the gat gun, we would have been able to fire 5 more explosive rounds with the dwarven cannon. That being said though, and even though we had lost all of our units at this point, the gat gun was doing quite a bit of damage. Where did those units come from? We were down to 2 units. I don't know where those units came from. I think the enemy might have summoned them or something and they went to our side. I don't really know. Either way though, the enemy was down to their last few units. There was still a boss left up though. Ooh, I just took a bunch of damage. Ow. Plus their caster guy. We'll just take him out. I don't know where he went. Oh, he's in the back there, I think. Oh, here he is, right here. Is that a mana or something? Oh, there we go. Nice job, whoever took them out. And yeah, that was it for the orcs, and Uber Dansbringer thought the war was over. He did still have one final debt to repay to the Skaven merchant though.